2nd, 2021. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second by Becky. Are there any corrections or comments to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor to accept the regular meeting minutes from March 22nd, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. At this point, we will open up the meeting for public comment, and then we'll open it up for the public hearing on the budget. So any public comments at this time? Okay, hearing none. It's going to be a...
No, I have a question.
Who is that?
Bobby Hoover.
Yes. Hi, Bobby. Yes.
Hi. About the beach this summer.
Yes.
Now, when it's open, Friday through Sunday?
Yeah, it'll be open 5 days a week. So we'll do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday and Tuesday would be swim at your own risk. If it's a public holiday, we'll adjust it so that Monday is covered if it falls on a Monday.
But those days have lifeguards?
Yes, 5 days a week we'll have lifeguards, yes.
Okay.
All right?
Yes,
Good.
thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question, Jeanette. It's Mark Jacob.
Yes. Mark.
Regarding the snowmobile trail for old business, it wasn't brought up on the last meeting, and myself and my legal team were wondering if you could share an update on that.
Yes, so an update on that consists of the fact that we have contacted National Grid for a use of right-of-way, and we are presently waiting to hear back from them. So once we hear back, an update will be provided.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, they're a little slow right now. They've got a lot of stuff going on, I'm told, so yes. So we haven't forgotten. Oh, you're very welcome. All right, any other? Uh-oh, Shorty? On the snow machine for the sidewalk? Oh, the snow machine bike trail, yes? Yes.
Before the village goes too far from that, don't you think that the residents should be made aware that the trail is going to wind up being in some people's backyards? Even in a lot of communities where they have bike trails, rather than downtown, people use the trail and stop and go in people's backyards and do what they're not supposed to. So, well,
at this point, not to cut you off, Shorty, but at this point, what we're doing is we're contacting National Grid to determine what right-of-ways we do have and what right-of-ways we can have. And before any trails are put through, we would have that open for a public meeting.
right, because like I said, there's a lot of people with adjoining property.
Sure.
Their backyard, and I think the privacy of the year-round residents should be looked at. To have a enjoyment for somebody coming up from someplace else, right, to pull out.
Yeah. No, of course we would take that into consideration. Yep. Okay. So now I'm going to close public comment, and I would like to open the public meeting for the public hearing of the proposed budget 21 to 22. This has been posted on the village website. Thank you, Crystal, for that. My reminder many times. So before I get the public comments, I would just like to give you some highlights of what has happened to the budget. First of all, there have been some changes to salaries and personnel matters. All employee salaries were increased by the cost of living that was set at 1.3%. In addition to that, the clerk treasurer, Crystal O'Brien, has been budgeted to receive a merit increase of 3.7% for a total of 5% over this coming year, given the outstanding job she's done in updating and streamlining systems, identifying areas of security, compliance, and efficiencies, managing the budget effectively, and training the deputy clerk, among many other things that she's done. So I really would like to commend her, and the board commend her for a job very well done. You're welcome. Thank you. And the Deputy Clerk Treasurer, Tracy Marshall, is budgeted to receive, in addition to the COLA, 0.7%, bringing her total increase to 2%, following the successful completion of her probationary period. Tracy has been trained on all functions and duties of the Clerk Treasurer and has become a valuable asset to the administration of the village. So now the clerk and the deputy clerk are essentially interchangeable. If one is on vacation and the other, we are fully covered, as we have experienced last week. So the increase in salary, though, should be noted that this does not change the budget from last year, because the budget from last year had a different person in the position that was at a higher salary than Tracy was at, and so that doesn't change the bottom line of the budget. So in addition to changes in salaries and personnel, we have eliminated the part-time summer staff and have budgeted for an additional employee to work between DPW and the water wastewater system. That will alleviate some of the strain that we have during the summer and some of the strain that we have on the water wastewater plant, and they would be in the rotation of every third weekend with Ed Charpeau and Lenny Page. So we have also more precisely budgeted for DPW personnel services that account for the use of vacation, sick, personal, and holiday time, much more efficient than has been done in past years. We are also looking to change the workman's comp carry in a request for another bid or another quote for the insurance. Found out that we can decrease the cost of workman's comp by $8,300 annually with a lock-in price for up to 3 years, and that does include the annual New York assessment. So that's over $8,000 less than PERMA, and we've been using PERMA, I think, for decades for our comp. So I think it's a good idea to get that extra bid and really save significantly. So that'll save us $25,000 over 3 years. So in addition, thanks to Crystal, we are looking to improve payment options for tax and water sewer bills by bill pay through our website. There'll be a function for a tax lookup online and use of credit card or e-check payment that will benefit taxpayers who've been asking for that for quite a long time. And we will also be able to do that with water and sewer billing. That can be email billing with a quick pay option as well. So I'd really like to commend the clerk and deputy clerk for putting that together. I think that's a great addition and an answer to many questions that our residents have. Within the budget, we are also doing energy efficiency projects by updating all the lighting in the village buildings, including the garage, the fire department, and the pavilion, upgrading them to LEDs. And again, we're waiting on National Grid to convert the street lights to LEDs and expect a pretty good rebate. So that may be in this budget or in the next budget. We are also looking within this current year to do village improvements. This will include grading the pavilion parking lots, which is in great need, fixing the damage at the point from the Halloween storm, and looking to get that done by early June before a lot of our returning residents come and our visitors. We are also looking to replace the Wolf Complex water line. For those of you unfamiliar with that, those are the cottages that are south of Black Bear Run. We've had many, many issues with that very aging line. The beach will be open, to Bobby's point, Bobby Lynn's point. The beach will be open this summer for 5 days a week with 2 lifeguards on duty. There will be 2 days where it's swim at your own risk and will be posted as such. And we have budgeted for additional bear cans, a little bit larger bear can down by the pavilion to meet those needs, as well as new picnic tables. That's okay. There are a few additional budget matters I'd like to highlight. First is that we've accounted for general increases in fuel, phone, and internet. We have consolidated DPW tools and PPE, personal protective equipment monies, into the garage code for better tracking instead of having it spread out across DPW. We have increased the budget for liability and medical insurance for anticipated increases, in addition to a new DPW and wastewater treatment plant employee who would go between those two groups. Revenue items of note is the sale of an extra truck expected in 21-22. Not too much revenue, but at least $3,000 we hope for a minimum. We will start to get Verizon pole rentals. There is electricity now to the poles. We're waiting for the final parts to increase our cell service, so that'll be $2,400 a year. And then we do have a decrease in chips due to fewer projects projected for the coming year. So overall, after 2 years of zero increases in taxes within the village, this year we are anticipating an increase of approximately 1.3%, which is still under the New York tax cap, and we would be appropriating approximately $20,000 from fund balance and leave the remaining intact to stay compliance with our fund balance policy. So I know that's a lot of talk, so I'd like to open it up to the public if you have any comments or questions. Okay, anybody on mute? No? Yes, Jim?
Credit card costs for the water.
What are the credit card costs for the water?
So we would have, if somebody chose to use their credit card, they would pay the fee on top of their regular bill. So they would pay it, yes.
Right, so the village would not pay that. All right, hearing no other comments, I would like a motion to close the public hearing on the proposed budget. Jim Rumsey, second. Cindy Rumsey. Any comments, questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, public meeting is closed. Thank you. So let us go to the organizational items. Oh, so at our next board meeting, we can vote on the, to accept the proposed budget. So I think there are one or two modifications with the changes in liability comp, workers' comp. Right, so some minor changes. So we'll have the final numbers in 2 weeks, but that will be posted to the website. Yeah. Okay, good. So organizational items. I would like to congratulate and welcome back Mark Doniker and welcome Jim Rumsey to the Board of Trustees. Thank you for that. Everyone has signed their oath of office, which is good. So the appointments by the mayor are the deputy mayor. So I would like to appoint Mark Doniker to serve again as deputy mayor. Mark, you still good with that? I'll take that as a yes. So there are a number of appointments that I make with the board's approval. So I'll go through the list of appointments, and then at the end, I'll ask for a motion to approve those appointments. So the first is to appoint Crystal O'Brien for a term that will run until April 2023. Second is to appoint the Deputy Clerk Treasurer Tracy Marshall for a term that will again last until April 2023. I'd like to reappoint Roger Blanchard as the Superintendent of Public Works. I would like to reappoint Bob Benkovich as our Fire and Building Code Enforcement Officer. I'd like to reappoint Rick Rumsey for the Land Use Enforcement Officer. For the Planning Board, I'd like to reappoint Lisa Eckhoff only through May 2021, as she and her husband have sold their home and are planning to leave our area. I would like to personally thank Lisa on behalf of the board for her years of service on the Planning Board, and she's been a great asset in that regard. And I would like to appoint Kelly Toogood for a term beginning in June 2021, running through April 2026. The terms for the Planning Board are 5 years based on the fact that there are 5 members of the board. Zoning Board of Appeals, I'd like to thank Neil McGovern for his years of service on this committee and would like to appoint Mark Crary for a term running through April 2024. The Registrar of Vital Statistics for a 4-year term ending in 2024. I'd like to appoint Crystal O'Brien. and the Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics, again, a 4-year term ending 2024 as Tracy Marshall. Are there any comments or questions on these proposed appointments? Okay, hearing none, I would like to have a motion to approve these appointments.
So moved.
Cindy, second. Becky, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, I would like to set up committees amongst the Board of Trustees. For Sewer and Water, I would like to appoint Mark Doniker and Jim Rumsey. For Streets and Highway, Mark Doniker and Becky Smith. For Parks and Playgrounds, Jim Rumsey and Rebecca. Finance and Office, myself and Cindy Rumsey. And Fire Commissioner, Cindy Rumsey for another year. Are there any comments, questions about committee appointments? You, Jim? You can speak. Yeah, I changed it back, sorry. I put you in Parks and Rec. Given your love of that. Yep. Okay, so hearing no comments, those are the committees that will stand. There are a number of designations. So the official paper will remain the Hamilton County Express. There will be other papers designated as needed, such as the Leader Herald. The set regular meeting time and place for the Board of Trustees meetings will remain the second and fourth. Now I'm doing, there you go. Is the second and fourth Monday of each month, unless the dates fall on a holiday, where the meeting shall be held on the following day and shall commence at 7 p.m. at the Village Hall. And then we will adopt the rules of procedures for meetings with the following our modifications were made last year or in September. So the order of business was to add additional time for public comment at the end. So Cindy, did you have a comment?
No, wait a minute, Mark.
I finally got in. I keep losing service on the phone. And I went through LPSA as the treasurer.
Oh, good. Good. All right. So we've just appointed you to all of the committees and you'll be taking over as mayor. All right. Glad you could join us again. So those are the designations. So I'll have a motion to accept those designations.
So moved.
Okay, Mark Don.
Second.
Second, Cindy Rumsey. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So now there are a number of resolutions, and what I'll do is I'll go through all of the resolutions and we'll do a motion to accept them as a whole instead of individuals. So the first is to authorize payment to audit of claims for public utility services, postage and freight charges as provided in New York State Village law instead of waiting for an abstract. Second, clerk treasurer and mayor or deputy mayor, dual signatures, shall be authorized to issue checks on all funds, and that the mayor, clerk treasurer shall be authorized to enter any safety deposit box held in the name of the village, and that MBT be designated as the official bank and depository of the village of Speculator. Third, adopt the listing of water and sewer customers as the basis for computing fees for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Number 4, attendance at schools and conferences, whereas there's to be held during the coming year, hopefully, a New York State Conference of Mayors in May or June, and a legislative meeting in February. The training school for municipal clerks and finance officers conducted by NICOM. And whereas it is determined by the Board of Trustees that attendance by certain municipal officers and employees at one or more of these meetings or conferences benefits the community, now and therefore be it resolved that the following officers are hereby authorized to attend the following conferences in schools: mayor or designee, the annual conference put on by NICOM, and the legislative meeting and for the clerk treasurer, the annual fall training school sponsored by NICOM and the New York State Office of the State Comptroller. All expenses and incidentals to these conferences will be paid for by the Village of Speculator, including mileage, room and board, and registration fees as required. The last is to provide for mileage reimbursement in lieu of auditing and allowing a claim for actual and necessary expenses for personal automobile travel for official duties. Whereas the Board of Trustees has determined to pay a fixed rate for mileage as reimbursement to officers and employees of the village who use their personal automobiles while performing their official duties on behalf of the village. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees shall approve reimbursement to such officers and employees at the federal rate per mile. So I'd like to have a motion to accept these resolutions. Jim Rumsey, second.
Second.
Becky Smith, are there any questions or clarifications needed? Crystal?
I think you forgot the resolution for standard work.
No, I have not. Hold on to that, yes, okay. So, hearing no objections, comments, or corrections, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. So, I put it later. So, I hope I put it in later. Okay. So next is a requirement to approve the procurement policy. The last update was last year, May 29th, 2019. Are there any comments, corrections, questions to the procurement policy that the board was provided?
No.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the procurement policy dated May 29th, 2019 without any changes?
So moved.
Okay, Mark Doniker, second. Jim Rumsey.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, the procurement policy of May 29th, 2019 has been accepted. Finally, the next organizational meeting will be set for April 11th, 2022 at 2 p.m. at the Village Hall in Speculator, New York. Now I'll take a breath and we'll go to the report of Public Works. So Ed Charpeau had a family conflict, so I will attempt to find his report. Okay. All right. So I can share screen. Host is disabled, maybe.
There you go.
All right. Just so that people have something to look at besides myself. So within the water department, the monthly report has been sent out. There are some issues again with pump stations. So pump station 1, as you know, had been fixed. And as soon as it was put back online, pump station 2 decided to have issues. It has been looked at and attempted to be fixed by Lenny Page and Ed Charpeau. However, they've been unsuccessful to date, so they are waiting for the W2O operator group to come and fix pump station 2, and hopefully we'll have both pumps working at the same time. There was a major water main break at King of the Frosties on March 10th. As soon as the water department was called, they assessed the situation and they were informed that the basement of King of the Frosties was filling up. At that point, they immediately turned the water off to reduce the risk of damage and issued a boil water notice for the affected area. The main had a shear break and was fixed during normal working hours. The samples came back negative for bacteria and the boil water was lifted 3 days later on the 13th of March. Our annual water quality report has been received and will be sent out to our residents during the next billing cycle. They've also checked for chlorine and phosphate throughout the village. They've installed new LED conversions at the well control building. Expenditures are for CNA Labs for testing, Stevenson's and Ferguson's Waterworks. As far as schooling goes, Ed has sent his tests for continuing education credits that were needed to reapply for his water license by August. They will be in the process of flushing hydrants the week of May 10th. They'll be fixing hydrants in the village beginning April 13th, and that scheduling will be dependent on DPW availability and weather. The hydrant, it should be noted, the hydrant on the corner of Brooks Ave and Route 30 will be the last hydrant they attempt to fix if it's deemed necessary. It was determined by the fire department that the existing fire hydrants without Brooks and the one on Brooks Avenue is sufficient, but if we're able to replace it, it'll be done. Okay, and then we'll fix the well pump. Pump number 2. So wastewater department, the speedies and DMR have been completed for February. The land application permit was renewed for the next 5 years. We were required to provide some additional information, and that was accepted. The annual water withdrawal report has been signed by myself and returned to DEC. As far as operations go, spring cleanup, they've not had any issues with I&I due to snow melt, and for that we will be grateful. Pump station 2 was fixed for a few weeks, but needs to be pulled for rag removal and service. And they have ordered lime for the land application site. Again, expenditures were limited to Charlie John's, Stevenson's, and Thai sales for meters. Additional meters are required. Regarding the upgrade project, that's still ongoing. The project intent has been submitted to EFC, and the project description is to go out this week within Hamilton County Express, as well as a Leader Herald and a state website to solicit bids. Those bids are due by April 28th. We have been told by Lamont that we may be expected to have a request for a week's extension to get those bids in. We would look to accept a bid on May 10th and then authorize a notice to proceed by May 24th, and that would be the final part of our project. As far as Ed knows from Lamont, they are still on track to meet these deadlines, and we are pushing them to do so. Pump station number 5 that needs to be fixed, and they will be applying lime to the land application site. Are there any comments or questions on Ed's report? Okay, hearing none, we will go to the clerk treasurer's report. Clerk?
Really quickly, water and sewer bills that remain unpaid at the end of this month will be re-levied to village taxes. We do plan to send out a notice of outstanding accounts tomorrow. Just a reminder, Tracy and I will be closing the office on Friday for organization. And that is it. Oh, and the financial report is complete and ready to review for approval at the next meeting.
Terrific. In addition to that, there will be 2 additional checks cut this week. One is a $5,000 check to Moose Creek Holding to finalize the Elliott Lane matter. So the deed will be changed to reflect ownership by the village, as well as giving an easement for the turnaround of trucks at the end of the lane on a little bit of gravel pathway there. And then there are clerk fees associated with that for filing in the amount of $330. So if you will recall, the board approved those expenditures out of the contingency fund 2 meetings ago? 1 or 2, within the past month. Okay, so that will be added to the checks. So I would like a motion to approve the abstract. Jim Rumsey, second.
So moved.
Mark Doniker. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Motion carries to approve the abstract. Okay, under old business, we'll go very quickly. COVID update, for those of you who missed it, Hamilton County was featured on NBC News as nearly reaching herd immunity. I am glad to know that door knocking in our community is one of the primary methods of communication. Our cell service is so poor, according to the reporter, but that will soon be fixed. Okay, so congratulations to Hamilton County Department of Health. Congratulations to all the volunteers that have made that possible and for the availability of the vaccine. This week, there have been no new cases of COVID reported, which has been great. Halloween storm update, I am filing for extensions for some of the projects such as the beach, the Point, and Marion Avenue to be completed. We are still waiting approval for FEMA for the water crossing because it's come up that it is an historic site and possibly prehistoric value, and that has to go through another committee for approval, and we're providing documentation as to a disturbance of the areas within recent years so that we'll be able to complete that project. And we are still awaiting pump station 2 down behind the inn, the Speculator Inn, and we have supplied additional engineering reports to that effect. In addition to, I think that's all for you. The COVID update, we are providing additional information to the government to file those claims for our costs. Small cell towers, they've been wired for electricity. They are waiting parts, and then we will have good cell coverage within the village. There are some issues that are being worked out for the tower on Oak Mountain. LED streetlights soon, the best I can say. Septic systems and erosion regulations. Mark, thank you for leading those efforts. I think we're making good progress. Currently, we are awaiting feedback from LPSA, and we have received feedback from Soil and Water, Hamilton County Soil and Water, correct?
Correct.
And I did see in the LP board meeting minutes that a committee has been formed in the town consisting of LPSA members and Hamilton Soil and Water. So hopefully that'll be worked out. You're on mute, Mark, if you were saying something. No, he's not saying.
Talking to my dog.
All right, good point. All right, so let's move on to new business. So there has been a request for forgiveness for a wastewater fee. So we received a request for late fee forgiveness from Nicole Rosado due to issues with the wastewater and water bill delivery. Only half the bill was received, and that was received with insufficient information. So the late fee is in the amount of $11.52. And if I recall correctly, there were a number of other residents who had similar issues with the mail, but they have not requested forgiveness of late fees. So at this point, I would like to know whether the board is of the opinion that they would reimburse the $11.52 to Nicole Rosado due to the postal error.
Agreed.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to reimburse the $11.52 to Ms. Rosado.
So move.
Mark, and second by Becky. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. She will be reimbursed in the amount of $11.52. Next, I see that we have Glenn Bisworm here, and we are, the next topic is the Lemon Tree liquor license notification. And Glenn, please feel free to interject if I say something off the beaten trail. So Mr. Bisworm is giving notice to the board that he is seeking a license to sell beer, wine, and cider at the new business called the Lemon Tree Brewery. This business is located on the site of the Lemon Tree building on State Route 30. The former showroom area is being converted into a tap room that will serve locally brewed beer, cider, wine, and bar food. And they also plan to create a family-friendly environment with landscaping that includes fire pits and lawn games. Mr. Bisworm did present his plans to the planning board on January 26th of this year, and no zoning issues or matters were raised by the planning board. He also posted notice in the Hamilton County Express the week of February 3rd through 9th. So at this point, I would ask if there are any issues that the board sees with the issuance of a license to sell beer, cider, and wine at the Lemon Tree Brewery. I myself don't see any issues with that, and I open it up to other board members. None? Okay, so I don't know if we need a motion to support the license, but I'll put one out there. Would someone like to make a motion to support the license to sell beer, wine, and hard cider at the Lemon Tree Brewery?
I'll move that motion.
Okay, Cindy, second? Any second?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Any comment or discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, Jim, good. All opposed? None? All right. We support your motion to get a license, Glenn, and we wish you all the best in your new venture. And a letter from myself will be going to the licensing board tomorrow morning.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Barrett. Thank you, Council.
Good, we look forward to it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the heavy equipment operator candidate. So we were very pleased to receive 5 applications for the posted position of HEOR operator, which was previously held by Wayne Lucas, and as you know, he retired. So a committee consisting of Roger Blanchard, Trustee Doniker, and myself was set up to interview all of the candidates and check their references. So after careful consideration, we are proposing the following. We propose that we promote Mr. Lee Page to this position and offer him a salary of $18.75 per hour, which is an increase of $1.75 per hour over his current salary. For background, Mr. Page has been with the village for 8 years and has operated quite a number of heavy equipment items and is well versed in the equipment that we have within the village. Mark, did you want to add anything to that?
He's certainly the most qualified of all the candidates, and he knows the village. He knows all our policies and safety concerns, and I think he'll be appropriate candidate.
Right. So at this point, I would like a motion to hire Lee Page for the promotion for the position of HEOR in the DPW at a salary of $18.75 per hour.
So moved.
Rumsey makes a motion and Mark Doniker seconds. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of hiring Lee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and I'll be contacting Mr. Page in the morning to offer him that position. With the promotion of Mr. Page, the committee is also recommending the hiring of a village maintainer to backfill the position of Mr. Page. We are recommending Jake Smith have this position. A copy of the job description of village maintainer was provided to the board. With Mr. Smith, he has 3 years of experience with Hamilton County using heavy equipment, has done seasonal work with the New York State DOT, and drove trucks for 2 years and worked in a family business. We would like to offer the position of village maintainer to Jake Smith. The starting salary is $15.98 per hour. We would add $1 for his CDL license, which he has and has maintained in good standing, plus 28 cents an hour for his relevant experience, for a total salary of $17.25 an hour, which is commensurate with his current salary at the county. As per our policy for new hires, Jake would need to complete a 6-month probationary period as well. And he informed us that he would be able to start the week of April 26th. For disclosure, Jake Smith is the son of Becky Smith, one of our trustees, so she will abstain from voting. So I would like a motion to hire Jake Smith for the village maintainer position at a salary of $17.25 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
Mark Doniker, Cindy Rumsey. Are there any questions or comments on these two positions? On Jake's position? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstaining? Becky Smith. Okay, motion carries to hire Jake Smith, and I will call him tomorrow morning and offer him that position. So for those of you who are wondering about the 3 remaining candidates, we do have a position open that we should be able to post once the budget has been approved for a village maintainer that goes between the DPW and the wastewater treatment plant. All the people who had applied for the position are interested in that job, and then we will add them to the mix for interviews as well as post the job in the appropriate papers. Okay, any questions with that? Okay, now to Crystal. There is a resolution of standard workday. We have to put up this resolution to comply with New York State retirement group requirements for appointed positions. So let me pull that up. Okay, resolution. And then we will post that. There it is. All right, everybody see that all right? For the visually impaired, such as myself. So whereas
Thank you.
this resolution shall be known as the standard workday and reporting for appointed officials. So whereas New York State and local retirement conducted a recent review of all paid, elected, and appointed officials who are part of the New York State local retirement system, and whereas the position of the superintendent, Department of Public Works, and the village clerk treasurer are appointed positions, therefore be it resolved that the village's speculator with New York State Comptroller Location Code 40320 hereby establishes and confirms the following standard workdays for the following titles and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirements based on their record of activities. So for Roger Blanchard, his number's on file, appointed as superintendent. The term began on April 6, 2021 and will run through April 10th, 2023. And then appointed official Crystal O'Brien with her number on file, appointed as clerk treasurer. The term began on April 6th, 2021 and will run through April 10th, 2023. These appointed positions have a standard 8-hour per day workday with 5 days a week. So I would like a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
Mark Donovan. Second, Becky Smith. Any comments, questions? This is a standard requirement. Okay. All in favor of passing the resolution for standard workday for boarding appointed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right. Moving right along. I feel like we're in a marathon. Okay, so next up, workman's comp and liability insurance. This gives me great pleasure to say that I asked for other quotes for workman's comp after a discussion amongst the board members for the workers' comp and liability insurance. So in the past, the village has had this insurance through PERMA, and I'm not sure that there was ever another bid that was sent out, but I am pleased to say that today we received a competitive quote Alliance. So for full disclosure, the PERMA insurance quote was for $32,988. So this covers all of our DPW and our firemen, etc. And that included a 3% discount if paid for in April, as well as a New York assessment that is priced out at $1,014. The Comp Alliance quote for the same insurance was $24,646 annually, which included the New York assessment priced out at $12 less, $1,002. So the rate would be locked in for 2 years. They're in the process of trying to get that locked in for 3 years, and they're working with the New York State group that handles insurance, so that should be coming through. So this would be a rate that would be locked in for at least 2 years, possibly 3. So if we go with Comp Alliance, we would be saving a total of $8,342.11 per year, for a total savings of over $25,000 over the course of 3 years. So I would like a motion to use Comp Alliance for the workman's compensation insurance and to lock in the rate for 2, if not possibly 3 years for the village. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Becky, second?
Mark.
Mark? Any comments or questions?
The coverage doesn't change, correct? It's the same coverage?
Exact same coverage, and it would not change for the next 2 and hopefully 3 years. We'd be locked in.
Perfect. Great.
Good
job finding it. I know. It's awesome. It's a lot of money.
It is. It is a nice little boatload. All right. So all in favor of changing our carrier to Comp Alliance?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, yep. Good. All opposed? All right. We will now have Comp Alliance carrying our workman's comp insurance. The following is for notification purposes with the Speculator Volunteer Fire Department. If you'll excuse me for a second. Okay. There has been a new slate of officers. So in a village such as Speculator, where the fire department is part of the village, the trustees, the board of trustees serves as the fire commission. So we're the group that oversees the fire department. So as such, the slate of elected fire department officers is as follows. They have elected Matt O'Brien as chief. They have elected a first assistant chief, Tracy. The second assistant chief, Sean O'Brien. First captain is Wood. The captain is Dylan Donaker. Okay. The second part under the fire department is that the Speculator Volunteer Fire Department and the Lake Pleasant Volunteer Fire Department have entered into a mutual aid agreement. This has been amended from the one that was signed March 2019. This agreement is put into place due to manpower issues of late and the need to expedite response times in both fire districts, which includes all of Lake Pleasant. And as you know, that's a huge geographical area. So in the current mutual aid agreement, there will be an automatic response between the fire departments. So if a call goes out and it's in Lake Pleasant proper, both fire departments would be alerted. One would wait until they would gather at their fire department, and then they would be going to the fire or the alarm call as needed. But each one would gather in their respective place to increase or decrease the response time. So they will be simultaneously dispatched to all alarm calls, regardless of the nature of the call or alarm in both fire districts. Okay. The last of the new business is a proposal for a boat steward, and Mr. Donaker, Trustee Donaker, was going to present that.
Yes, I'm also a member of LPSA, and the town of Lake Pleasant pays roughly $5,000 a year for boat stewards. LPSA spends normally $5,000, and this year they're going to spend $7,000 to put a boat steward on weekends at Lake Pleasant Marina. And all I'm requesting is that the board consider providing some funds to cover boat stewards, if not this year, next year.
So, Mark, I had a question regarding that. So as people know, the village pays tax to the town of Lake Pleasant.
Yes.
for a certain number of services, and I was wondering whether the boat steward, what portion of the budget the boat stewards are being paid for, whether it's the Lake Pleasant only or whether the village's Speculator is also contributing to that.
The money goes to the organization that provides the lake stewards. So I'm not sure how it's directed out. I know LPSA has specifically put in money for Lake Pleasant Marine because on weekends they're so busy they can't inspect boats. So, you know, one of the things they wanted to do was see if the village's Speculator would donate towards providing, you know, if it's $500 or $1,000 a year towards that cost, because, you know, either the town of Lake Pleasant or LPSA supports the boat stewards on the Speculator launch at the bridge and the pavilion.
So my concern is the potential for a double contribution for those taxpayers within the village's Speculator. So I would just like to make sure what line of the budget it's coming from Lake Pleasant, whether that's covered by Speculator, and if it's not, I would be more inclined to suggest a donation from the village to support that effort.
Okay.
And if not, suggest that LP increase the amount that they're giving.
All right, you know, I'll talk to Betsy and to LPSA and find out exactly how that's divided up.
I think it's a worthy cause.
Yeah.
I'm just protective of what our taxpayers are paying.
Again, most of these people probably go to a restaurant, stay overnight. You know, Lake Pleasant doesn't have that, you know, except for Airbnbs. You know, so it was just a thought by LPSA to request from the village any kind of funding that they could provide to help support the boat stewards.
Well, I think we would be in a better position to know what our end of year budget is by the next board meeting.
Okay.
And if we can determine what line in the Lake Pleasant budget their boat stewards are coming out of, I think that would be helpful for us to make an educated recommendation.
All right, I'll talk to Betsy and LPSA, the president, and get back to you.
Okay. Anyone else have comments? It's not just what Jeanette says.
I just have a question, if I can.
Sure.
Yeah, one option would be maybe instead of having to dip into taxes, is maybe have the marina charge more for the boats to be, because basically when you go to bring your boat there to bring it in, I think it's $10. Well, charge maybe $12, and then that way with that extra money, they can hire an additional person. Lake Pleasant Marina can hire an additional person to, you know, attend it and do that checkup on the weekends. It seems like that's their challenging time, is on the weekend. Just a thought.
Yeah, thank you for your thought. Yeah, Lake Pleasant Marine does it basically 5 days a week, and they were doing it 7. Last summer with the COVID crisis, they were overwhelmed. Everyone was trying to use natural resources. So LPSA thought, you know, since that's the main entrance for larger boats into the lake, that they would support that weekend crew, you know, make sure they monitor the boats going into the lake.
But maybe we can propose that. At least that would help offset the overall cost of boat stewards, if they'd be amenable to track that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to LPSA and the marina and town of Lake Pleasant and get back to everybody.
Well, who hires the boat stewards? Doesn't that come from a special program that's out there?
It's through New York State and it's Paul Smith College. They actually hire them, but the town pays Paul Smith College back for the bus.
Got it.
Yeah, and so does LPSA. We pay the town the costs.
Are there any new items of business? No. Board roundtable. So I will make a comment that I received comments on the removal of geese from the point, the ball field, and the beach using a DEC permit to shoot the geese. So I wanted to point out that the increase in the goose population does result in an enormous amount of goose excrement in our park and beach, such that it becomes a serious health hazard. Some people are not aware of that, and I think that the removal of geese using shotgun with our expert marksman is a humane way of removing them. It's been suggested that we capture them, net them, do things like that. The DEC requires that if we do capture them by net, we still have to euthanize them. We are not allowed to relocate the geese to other situations. And just for your fun fact for the day, each adult goose can produce up to 1.5 pounds of poop per day. Bacteria carried and transmitted through goose feces include chlamydioidosis, E. coli, listeria, salmonella, and other bacterial infections. And we just don't have the manpower nor the monetary resources to keep up with the approximately 50 pounds or more, that's conservative, amount of goose poop that is left on our beach and point and ball field. We have a flock as large as 70 out in the lake, and those geese also pollute the lake and change all sorts of things in the lake that cause issues as well. So I am assured that the removal of geese is being done as humanely and safely as possible. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Any other comments for roundtable on the board?
Yeah, I counted over 80 geese, and a matter of fact, there was some a goose patrol out tonight, and my dog heard that. And
did they get
E.
any?
coli, I don't know. I was on Zoom, but E. coli, fecal coliform can shut down the beach, and you might not be able to swim,
Or even sit there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, we have concerts in the park that bring in a lot of people to the area and enjoyment, and it is horrific when you think of beach towels and sneakers and dogs and little kids and stuff like that. I mean, we have a potential for a great outbreak, which would not be pretty.
And I could testify as the Lake Pleasant Lodge owner, they wreak havoc on my beach, and they even come up on the grass and just, you know, the grass is just covered. So I commend you on doing this decision here.
We're trying to control that, and
Yes.
there's anybody who wants to chase away the geese, you know, during the day, I welcome them to do that. If they want to contact me for their volunteer services, you know, I'm happy to sign them up.
Buy some swans.
Some what?
Swans.
Actually, Camp of the Woods put out some fake swans last year. The geese were swimming right next to them.
I meant real ones.
Well, they're just as bad as far as
they're huge.
They're nasty. They're mean.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And the Canadian geese are mean, too. We were having discussions today that they will even drown a dog if the dog goes into the water. They get so aggressive. So hopefully we'll cull that herd to a reasonable population, and it should be noted that Canadian geese are no longer on the endangered species list since they have successfully bred with other geese that make them even more hardy. So, but we'll try and keep those down. And our goose hunters are very enthusiastic to do their best to cull that flock. It's not a herd. Sorry. All right. So if there's no other roundtable comments from the board, I will move to open this to public comment. Any final comments from the public? Okay, hearing no public comment, we'll close that. There is no executive session. Our next planning board meeting will be April 27th and the next Board of Trustees meeting will be April 26th. Thank you very much for your participation in this marathon. I know there was a lot of information dumped, and I certainly appreciate your attention and participation. So at this time, I will look for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Mark Doniker. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you very much for your patience in the beginning of this.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Good
All
job.
right. Have a good night.